It is time to put in the feed rollers. For reference, if you're doing this, the pulley is going to be on the right hand side, and the reason for that is the springs, there's a short spring and a long spring. Long spring goes in the back towards you, short spring out front. So I'll drop all the springs in. They just got a very light coating of 3-in-1. Now I'm going to bring in one of the feed rollers. I lubricated the shaft before I put the pillow blocks back on, and a light coating around there, 3-in-1. That's it. I'm just going to simply drop them in. So there's one. Same thing on this one. There's two. Now the brackets that hold these on, there's one flat and there's one that has a 90 in it. The 90 is going to go out here, and the flat one is going to sit right here. So we'll go ahead and just start putting these in. I'm having to do things at a very odd angle here, so it may take me a minute. I really need to get my head in where the camera is. Just getting those started. Now these may be a little more difficult because that spring is quite tall. So I'm going to go ahead and hold this, push it down, start working that, still holding pressure down on the roller. There, just enough to get them started. Pressing down on that spring. I'm not sure why there's more tension on this one than there is the other one. This would be the outfeed roller, I believe. I could be wrong. Okay, so at this point, since I have this bracket here, I'm going to make sure that pillow block is shoved to that side, so it's tight against that bracket. I'm just going to alternate back and forth until I get this cinched up. Okay, go ahead and tighten this up. And I'm just going to give it a light tap down on this end. Just like that. Do the same thing on this back one. Just alternating back and forth. Give that a snug. And again, a light tap over here. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing on the front. Just alternate back and forth until I get this one cinched up as well. There we go. One more. I'm trying to keep my hand out of the way so you can kind of see what's going on. Okay. Got a little bit too much in play in this one here. So I'm just going to come in right here and just lightly tap that block in. There we go. And these should seat themselves in. That was a little bit tight, so I'm going to try to tap the pillow block just to loosen it up a little. Tapping this side now. And then I'll tap it back. So now I've got a little bit of play in there. That looks good. Well, now we're going to put in the gearbox. You should have 3 long bolts and 1 short bolt. I've put some grease on the end of that gear right there. So here's the gearbox. Just going to kind of tilt it up in there. This way. And I'm going to start with a long bolt right here. Long bolt top left. Long bolt bottom right. Short bolt bottom left. Just going to tighten these up a little at a time. Snug. Snug. Just snugging them up. Now I'm tightening them up. And there we go. Just turning that to distribute the grease around a little bit more. Sounds nice and quiet. Okay, well, we're going to put the chains and sprockets on. First thing I'm going to do is put just a little bit of 3-in-1 oil on here. Lubricate these shafts. And one more. Now the first thing I'm going to put on is this little spacer right here. It goes down on the bottom shaft right there. Now I've turned all my keyways straight up. These two are straight up, and then this one is straight up as well. And it takes a while to turn that one because it's got such a gear reduction on it. But I've taken my sprockets and put them in the chain, and you can see when I hold them, they're both, those keys are straight up and down. So we'll just simply come up here and put the top one on. Just like that. Same thing with the second set. Keys are straight up and down. And that's it. Now there are 3 snap rings that need to go back on. I'm going to try to put them on around the camera, but one note, since we have a key or a slot in here, don't put the split of the snap ring right there. Make sure you get, you know, at a different angle, maybe even 180 degrees out. I'll come back and check these here in just a minute. Okay. Just pushing back and forth on that sprocket just to make sure they're snapped in and they're looking good. So the drivetrain is complete. The only thing left to do right here is put on this cover. You'll notice there's a hole in one side of it. That goes over this pin right here that's sticking off the casting. So I'll just start it in one side, get beyond the and that's it. Last thing I'm going to do here is put a little bit of lube on these. 3-in-1's what I'm going to use. That's all I've got, and that'll lubricate the chain. Well, alright, we're getting ready to put the pillars in and put the cutter head back on. The first thing I need to do is we're looking at it from how you would feed the wood in. So the crank, the long, would be right here. And of course the delta will be looking at you. That way you know you're putting it in the right way. And when I marked my pillars, it was 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to go ahead and put them in. I'm going to turn it over onto its side like this. And there's a recess that you can put one of these nuts up in the bottom. It's easier to do it this way than trying to hold it from underneath. And I'm just bringing it to where it's just barely snug. I mean, just barely snug. Second one, if anything, they're just a little bit loose. So 3 will be right here where I'm standing. And number 4. Now I sprayed my lead screws down with a little Bow Shield T9. I'm going to try that and see if it works well for these. Okay, so now I'm going to set the cutter head on. Just slowly lining things up. To get to the other side. Very hard to do this with a camera. Oh, my little plastic guard was holding me up. Okay, so now you can see I have it rested down. I'm going to try to turn the lead screws and start these start this coming down, and it looks like I need to turn counterclockwise. Yeah. Now since I may have the timing out on this, I'll dial it in, and those are going to be adjusted at these fasteners right here, which is exactly what I was searching for a long time ago. I put up a video on that. Try to figure out what they were called, but that's what I was looking for. Now I'm going to put my handle on. I'll shoot you over there. Move that over just a little. Now that I've got to where I can put the handle on, I'm going to go ahead and start cranking this down. So far everything's sounding pretty good. What I'm doing is wheeling it fairly close to the bottom. It's going to take me a while to get it all the way down there. Then I'm going to tighten these, loosen these, and tighten these up. Pretty much just taking it as far down as it will go, and that's about it. So now I'm just going to come in and just kind of loosen these and make sure they're kind of seated in where they need to be. Okay, now I'm just going to get on them a little bit. Let's give them a nice snugging.